He pops out of stealth, boom, cheap shot, 900 critical damage and stunned for 2 seconds.
This is how the average player adores the most pathetic maps. To justify this point, I made a map called
Books. Sick. You like to read books, huh? I'm too busy watching dirt bike videos all the time, dude. You can't.
Offline Paintball 3D, a fun, action-packed game for the whole family. You heard it here first? Come with me as I show you the amazing, jaw-dropping level design, the inspiring graphics, What? The game was cut short? 1.5 years in the making? For a single update? And the developer is nowhere to be found? What kind of self-centered lunatic does that? Back in October of 2017, I was sitting at my computer one morning watching videos of a game from the late 1990s called Digital Paintball 2. I have a thing for older games. Do I know why? No. Not really, but the blocky meshes, the low detail textures, the vibe, I love all of it. Anyways, although I don't enjoy playing Digital Paintball 2, I love the way the game looks and feels, and while watching videos of it on YouTube, I thought to myself, I want to make a paintball game like this. So I scrambled to open Unity and hastily went to work, throwing together something that may very slightly represent a paintball game. And the earliest version I have of the project is version 1.0, which unfortunately was released on GameJolt. So here's an image to help you understand what the game may have looked like only hours into development. And quickly, features started to build up, connecting with one another, and eventually it all kind of just, well, worked. I added bots, which would roam interest points on the lookout for any opposition, and killing anybody and everybody they saw. And so, the basic gameplay was in place, a simple yet fun shooter with offline support, even though there was no online multiplayer. At this point, I was only about a day into development, and the project very quickly ballooned into a week-long development disaster with spaghetti code, broken AI, a lot, and I mean a lot, of bugs and glitches. The whole shebang, but I still released version 1.0 once it was in a playable state, despite all the broken things about it. And so, on October 31st of 2017, Offline Paintball 3D was finally exposed to the world. The sun glistening across the Unity personal logo. The beautiful default skybox. But don't get me wrong, the pressure was real. This was the first time I had ever released anything, well, real, as the only other thing I had ever released was a game I made for Ludum Dare 34 in 2015, known as More Than Two Defense, but we don't talk about that game. Anyways, I was eager for players, and I knew I had created something fun, but I wanted to see what others thought. And they finally played it. Sweat trickled down my face, my palms were soaked. My heart was beating so fast as I read the comments that were posted. But surprise! People actually enjoyed it, and the first demo of the game only received minor criticisms which were all very valid. The game very quickly reached the Hot Games page, and several people actually made gameplay videos about it, which brought a smile to my face. People wanting to play my game, and thinking it was good enough to post a video about it? Whew! And I mean, I'll admit it, these people are probably just going around GameJolt and itch.io, finding subpar games that they can play, only to add to the countless videos on their YouTube channel. There might not be any genuine liking towards the game at all whatsoever, but the fact they picked my game over some others made me a little happy. But now, an issue was presented. Because I'm really bad at finishing and updating projects, and I had real players now, which meant they were all depending on me to create, showcase, and release updates for this game. I only had a couple hundred downloads at this point, so it's not like my game was worldwide or viral. But managing something where people depended on me so much is a very strange weight, no matter how small. Luckily for me, progress is quick, and I released the first update to the game only a few days later. And for the first update, version 1.02 added a lot. A buggy but functional pause menu complete with settings to tweak, player chatting, a new paintball modification, and of course, it wouldn't be a changelog without poking fun at your game, right? Things were looking up. I was 2 weeks into development and my interest in the game was still peaked, which was a first for me in a very long time, and in fact I had a lot of energy and motivation to work on Offline Paintball until mid-December of 2017, which was only about 1.5 months after the game had been released. Devlogs slowly grew thin, with each one released longer than the last, until one day, April 4th of 2018 to be exact, poof. So, tell me what it's like living out here after the fallout.
Oh, you know, we're getting by. Crops aren't looking too great, but life could be worse. Old Jerry fell down the well last week and got it polluted, so we don't have any more clean water.
And, how long have you lived here for?
Oh, about 15 years. Things aren't looking too bright, but I'm not gonna be the one to tell that to the kids.
All was quiet in the land of offline paintball. 3 months passed without a single soul in sight. Birds chirped quietly, the wind howling, tumbleweeds tumbling. But suddenly, the sun was brighter than the previous day. Something was to come. Just kidding, I was only consistently posting for about a week or so, and then I disappeared for another 5 months. So what happened offline Paintball 3D? What's with all the false promises, the lack of updates and support? Why abandon a project that many people seem to enjoy? During August of 2018, I got my first job, which on its own cut my free time a little bit, but the real reason behind offline Paintball's abandonment is a lack of motivation I have to work on it. The game at this point in time, from November of 2018 to now, June of 2019, is in the best state it has ever been. The game is extremely polished, the game looks and plays 100 times better, there's a fully functional menu, the bots actually work, there's a lot of small things that add to the overall feel, but the game is boring, or to me at least. When I have an idea for a game, I try my best to crank out a prototype in a week or so to ensure I don't lose motivation before the first release. And with offline paintball, I did just that. The idea I had in my head had been brought to life in a simple manner within a week or so and released to the world. But after that short period, it's rare for my projects to live past 2 or 3 weeks. This is a big issue, an even bigger one for offline paintball. I had players, and although few, they're counting on me to release the massive update I had been teasing for over a year now. I feel so guilty. How could I do this to people who were nice enough to play my game? Out of the kindness of their hearts, they wanted to follow development. And then to just ditch them like that, it's shameful, really. And I didn't really want to release 1.04 either. Although the changelog is so massive, it's easy to lose yourself in the hundreds of changes. Because even though I added and changed so much, the game is still the same as it was a year ago. There's only one level, one game mode. Sure, the gameplay is different and there's a lot that's changed there, but I felt as if releasing this version would put a bad taste in anyone's mouth who was waiting for it, as it had barely changed in the year I was hyping it up for. However, I did end up releasing 1.04 in an unfinished state, just so it wouldn't collect dust on the shelf. In the end, offline paintball is a game that was fun to develop. It has great replay value despite how simple it is. There's enough content to keep you for a little bit and you might even hop back on every once in a while, and it taught me a lot about releasing games. As of June 23rd, 2019, the game sits at just over 7,800 views and 1,700 downloads, which isn't very much, but it did help me to understand the hardships about releasing and keeping a game supported. Even though I look back fondly on offline paintball, I also look back with dread. That heavy feeling of letting people down and eventually giving up just haunts me. But you know what they say? All good things must come to an end.